The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
All right. Well, I don't know how I'm going to do this show with a mask on, but we're going to try. If it sounds a little muffled, well, just imagine we're sitting here in the studios at iHub Radio in beautiful downtown Palm Springs, doing our part to be protected from the coronavirus. But we're going to talk a lot about that today. We do have a stack of other items, but just about every government meeting is, well, they're not all canceled, but most are. Everything's pretty much shutting down in the government circles, essential activities continuing. I want to start out here by getting into some of the contrast. And we've all seen contrasting irony that pops up on Facebook at times. One person will ask a question, and then you scroll down to the very next post, and there's the answer. For example, does anyone have a car for sale that's under $3,000? Then you scroll right down to the next post and it says, hey, I've got a car for sale. It runs good. I'm just asking $3,000. And so it was this morning when I opened up Facebook. It was not cars that were being discussed. It was the coronavirus. What else? Everybody's talking about that. And one person posted what they were thinking as they closed the door on the bar where they worked. They noted it felt weird closing the door and not knowing when it will open again. And then came the very, very next post. It's from a dear friend of mine who lives in the Chinese city of Wuxi. It's a city where I used to live. And he was posting how nice it was to be opening the door on the bar where he and his friends like to meet and enjoy life together. And it was so contrasting and it's so telling. My friend in China who did not know how many nights it would be before he could get back to the Red Lion pub, but he knows now. And the two posts provide both the question and the answer. The answer is right in front of us. The answer is what other people have been through, what other countries have been through. We're heading into what my friend in China has just been through. Well, what everybody in China has just been through. And it was not all that long ago that I was talking to Malou and sharing with you his accounts of what he was going through, and with some sympathy and a little bit of horror at what he was telling me. In one post, he told what it was like not to go out of his house for 15 days. In China, before the crisis, the streets were incredibly busy with all manners of cars and kids walking to school and people walking about. Well, the coronavirus hit, and Malou was then posting pictures out of his window of the streets below that were absolutely barren, save for a lone policeman or maybe somebody going to their job in some essential position at a hospital. Well, we're going to see that. We're going to see those quiet streets. Now, if you look around downtown Palm Springs at night, you're seeing the comments on social media that it looks like a ghost town. And if you go drive the LA freeways right now, there's not much red that pops up on your GPS. The freeways are about like they were back in the 60s, smooth sailing when rush hour meant it was just 1 hour of the day that there was a rush hour. So, just like it happened in China, the door will be unlocked to welcome patrons again at that pub where the person who's posting was wondering what would happen. And someone's going to post as Malou did this morning. Someone's going to post as Malou did this morning that, streets are going to get busy again and life is going to come back. Now, there is a difference, of course, in this comparison. And, I'm not certain that we're taking the same steps that China did. We're freedom-loving Americans, and that contrast is a little bit harder to comprehend or to take into account. China, when the government says, hi, everybody stay in your apartments, don't go out, well, they pretty much say, okay, we're going to stay in our apartments and not go out. In America, somebody tells us we're not going to go out. The first thought that crosses our mind is, yeah, well, who are you? If you took a walk out front in China and didn't have your mask on, or you took a walk out front, there's a policeman out there blowing his whistle telling you to get back in. And if you refused to get back in, there's a whole bunch of people came and grabbed you and Sent you back in. Well, stay at home we must. The only way to slow and eventually stop the virus is for us not to spread it among ourselves. That's how we get the doors back open on the pubs and our movie theaters and our restaurants and everywhere else that we want to be open and busy. That's how we return back to normal life. Now, if we do that, things will return to normal. We've got a storm that's brewing, and we can hear the thunder clapping off in the horizon and maybe see that dark cloud rolling in. And we know it's going to blow through, and it's going to get a bit intense for a while. But as storms do, it will pass, but the sun will be out, and you're going to look up and you're going to say, wow, am I glad that's over. But for now, take the steps that you're being told to take. Stay at home. If it's not essential that you go to the store, don't go there. And there's a few other tips I got to pass along. If you're going out to go to the store, does the entire family need to go? Do you and your spouse need to go? Have the rest of them, if they must go in the car, at least wait outside. You're just not paying attention to what people are asking you to do. You need to stay home. How important is it that you really go down to get something at the store? I mean, I'm imagining people sitting home saying, well, this is a good time to, finish that project car I've been working on. I'm going to go out there and work on my old Mustang that's been sitting here for a while. I haven't got anything. That's a good time. I'm home. I'm going to do that. They say, oh, you know what? There's a part I need. So, heck, the auto parts store's open. I'm going to run down to the auto parts store and get a part. This is not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to just stay at home, okay? Malou stayed home for 15 days. Didn't go out of his apartment. Same thing with my wife's sister and our in-laws that live in China still. You got to stay home. No contact. You've got to follow the steps. We heard the story about the hand wiping, wipe down every surface that's out there and, do all that. There's some debate on whether or not you should be wearing a mask, but you should be covering your mouth and nose to protect everybody else. They say, oh, the mask doesn't prevent you from getting it. Well, maybe it doesn't, but it prevents you from spreading it if you got it. And the way this thing is working, we don't know who has it and who doesn't. The scary part is, the storm is brewing, and we're sitting here right now wondering what's ahead in the next 10 days or maybe the next 20 days. Is it going to be really terrible, like they're experiencing in Italy? Or is it going to be, not so much? And, we made it through it. The little bit of precautions that we took helped. And, it didn't hit the United States as hard as other places. Now, China, that went through it the hardest, and it's now apparently through it, that's according to all counts that we're getting. I got a letter from Malou. He gave me an update, and I'm going to share that with you a little later in the show. But China had 81,000 cases and 3,261 deaths. And then there comes Italy, with a population of about 60 million instead of 2 billion, as China has. And they have 53,500 cases and already 4,800 deaths. China had 3,200 deaths. Big deal there. Wuhan it was just a nightmare. I mean, that's a lot of people dying in a short period of time. Italy, with only 60 million people, surpassed that. 4,825 people as of today have died in Italy. And the U.S. has 27,000 cases. Spain has 26. Iran has 20. Remember when we heard Iran was so horrible? Well, we've now surpassed Iran in the number of cases, and it's going to go up because we're reporting more. But the number of deaths in the U.S. is now at 992. In Spain, it's 3,100. Germany, it's 1,600. Anyhow, this thing is a storm that's a brewing. And now you got to ask yourself, well, what's coming ahead? The next 10 days are going to tell us what's going on with this one. Everything's changing so fast. I remember what it was 2 weeks ago. I was at the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, and I got a briefing by Chad Bianco, the Riverside County Sheriff, letting us know what they were working on and things that they were doing around the valley. And of course, coronavirus was on people's minds back then. And the tennis garden had just canceled its event. So they said, well, we've backed off. We had our plans in place to do our, policing duties there at the tennis garden to make sure everything's okay. Well, we've withdrawn from that. And, now we're looking, back then they were looking to Stagecoach and Coachella Fest. Of course, those get canceled. And then everything else gets canceled. And all the casinos are closed. all the, in just the span of 2 weeks, all of Las Vegas, the Strip. If you go to Las Vegas, guess the lights are out on Las Vegas. Maybe they're leaving them on. I don't know. I haven't looked, but, things are just changing really, really rapidly. What's ahead in the next 10 days? We don't know. We got some people telling us. We got all kinds of people predicting it. You got a Harvard law professor who says we're overplaying this. And the question is it being overplayed? Did we essentially wreck our economy on something that's not that bad? Or is this thing going to be as bad as Italy? And I'm going to share some of that with you. There's details out of Italy when you see these emergency room doctors and the pleas they're making to everybody. They're saying lock down. Don't bring upon yourself what we went through. All right, lots more ahead here on the Russ Fed Show. I promise you we do have some other news, but we're going to continue with coronavirus when we return.